Greetings and welcome to What's New with Human Design, in which we follow the journey of the sun and the earth around the human design mandala. Hi everyone, Maggie here, and this is episode number 9 of What's New with Human Design. Today is March 7th, 2021. And today the sun moves into the gate 22 and the earth moves into the gate 47. So in the I Ching, the gate 22 is the gate of grace. Isn't that beautiful? And in traditional human design, it's known as the gate of openness. It's on the emotional solar plexus, so it's an emotional energy. And in traditional human design, it's often associated with like the fundraiser, the energy that helps set people at ease, so that they can feel comfortable and be willing to open their hearts and their wallets. So that's one of the stories that goes with that. In quantum human design, the focus is different. It's still associated with the grace of the I Ching, but it is more about trusting that you have the grace for the things that you care about to manifest in your life. So it's an emotional energy. It's on the emotional solar plexus, as I said a minute ago. And it's also in the knowing circuit. So the knowing circuit is, it's a really big circuit for one thing, but it is an intuitive circuit. It is not reasonable, logical, rational, analytical, any of those things. It's really about being able to open up to the the guidance from the divine or from the flow of life. And right now we actually have Uranus and Pluto doing a dance at the beginning of the knowing circuit. So we have a lot of support for right now for divine downloads, for inspiration, for things that are fantastic, if you will, maybe out of the ordinary, out of the box, to be coming in through that circuitry at the beginning, that channel at the beginning. We talked about that last week. I'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end today. But that does also affect this, the 22, which is on the knowing circuit. And again, no emotions are rational or logical or reasonable or analytical. That's not what emotional energy is. And so grace, if you think about it, is a quality of being, right? There's a relaxation to grace and a radiance to grace. And so that's what we want to be cultivating with the sun being in the 22 today, and being able to open up to the possibilities that arise when we are in a state of grace. And you probably know this statement of looking at someone who might have a less fortunate situation than yourself. You probably heard this saying that's, there but for the grace of God go I, right? So there's this sense that grace is this blessing. Grace is a quality of something miraculous, if you will. And so I encourage you to expand yourself into that sense of possibility that is available to you with that sense of grace. Now the thing is because it's an emotional energy, it's also going to be about timing. Anyone who is defined, emotionally defined, meaning that center is defined, knows that they have an emotional wave. And so you have to give it time for you to come to clarity. You don't want to be making decisions or moving forward on things until you've had a chance to have some time. And this is going to be true with the 22 to see, is it the right time for you to be offering your gifts? Is it the time for you to be offering whatever divine downloads you might have had or whatever your inner guidance is telling you to? Are you ready to share and express, right? Is it the right time for you and in your heart of hearts? And also, are other people ready? Are they receptive? Is it the right time for them to really be receiving and cherishing who you are and what it is that you have to offer? So you want to make sure about those pieces around timing. Now, this is not on the throat and it's not connected to the throat. So the expression of it, the verbal expression of it, isn't necessarily just what's at stake here, but it is about being able to tune into that right timing and to build your sense of grace so that the flow of life will be bringing you things to either that you'll receive invitations or things you'll get to respond to, or creative impulses. Okay, so the 47 is a very different energy. It's on the Ajna center, and it is the mate of the 64. Last week we talked about the 64 because the Earth was in the 64 last week. In traditional human design, it's known as the Gate of Realization, and in quantum human design, it's known as the Gate of Mindset. And the energies here, or the interpretations, are fairly similar in traditional and in quantum human design. And the 47 is receiving the input of superconsciousness coming in through the 64, and it's the beginning of the sensing circuit. And the sensing circuit, like the knowing circuit, is also not logical. It's not the logic circuit. So it's not rational, it's not reasonable, it's not left-brained, it's not analytical, right? It's none of those things. It is about experience. It's about the body, being able to experience and feel through the body. It's a sensual energy. It's that creative, right-brained sense of oneness that we talked about last time about the 64. Well, the same is true for the 47, because it's in the same circuit, and it is going to be receiving the energy coming through the 64, particularly if they're both defined and they're defining that channel. But the thing about the 47 is it may be a little more skeptical, or a little more questioning, a little more like, is this really true? Because it's on the Ajna center. The Ajna in human design is really the thinking center. It's where the thinking mind resides, if you will. And so it tends to be, just by its nature, it tends to be more analytical, more verbal, more it is the place where we think things through, or if we can, we figure them out at times. That's the location for this. So even though it's on the sensing circuit, the energy of the center itself is going to influence it. So sometimes the 47 might question some of the divine downloads that come in through the 64. Might be, wondering, is it true? Right? And what fuels that skepticism or that questioning is not knowing how to manifest or make happen the ideas or the downloads, the images, whatever it is that's coming in through that 64. It's like, yeah, but I don't know how to, that's like a wild idea. It's really interesting, but I can't figure out, I have no idea how that's going to manifest in my life. I can't figure it out. And so that Ajna energy is going to want to do that. It's going to want to be, okay, this is great. Let me take it and break it apart and see, if it's going to work. But that's actually not the appropriate or the not most beneficial way to respond to that. But that's the place that where you can get into trouble. So if you find yourself during this week being too much in your head, if you will, too much trying to figure things out, too much trying to be like, well, how am I going to make that happen? Then chances are you're identifying a bit more with what I would think of as the lower expression, or even the disempowered expression of the 47. And the more expansive one would be to be able to stay open, and to be calling in more direction about how this is going to happen. The Ajna also tends to have a sense of certainty, right? It wants to lock into a point of view, and it has this sense of certainty. And so that's how it can help a lot with single pointed focus. And once you do have clarity about something, that can be super helpful to move forward with it. But until you have clarity with it, or when you're with a kind of abstract idea, which what comes in through the 64, trying to get certain about it and trying to have a single pointed focus is premature. So that's what you kind of want to look out for. In fact, there's a bit of a conundrum just built into the 47 because it is in the sensing circuit and its mate is the 64, but it is located on the ajna. So there's this creative tension, right, between the, super expansive, creative, abstract energy of the right brain and the sensing circuit, and then this more kind of analytical thinking part of the ajna. And so your opportunity is to see, how do you get those to dance with each other? Rather than butting heads, how do you get them to dance? We have a theme here carried over from last time where we were looking at the beginning of the logic circuit and the beginning of the sensing circuit. And my invitation was, how do you get them to dance with each other so that they're realizing that what they bring is both important, but that where you don't have a dominance, particularly of the logic or here of the ajna energy, because we tend to do that because that's how we've been trained. It's how we've been trained, in our culture. And so we want to be able to honor this other kind of input that is not generally seen as important. So if you do find yourself being too heady, my invitation is to lean into the grace of the 22. You want to be able to have create a kind of stable relationship with that 47 because it is what the earth is lighting up right now, and it could be showing you where you're off base, right, in the relationship that you have between these two capacities that are available to you, your sensing and your thinking. But you want to be able to create a stable base with that as much as possible, because that will allow you to feel the grace even more. But if you're having trouble with that, and I know a lot of people do, then I would just invite you to really, lean into the way that the sun is lighting up that opportunity for grace, that opportunity for trusting that everything that you need is coming to you in right timing, and to lean into the power of your emotional energy to be focused on what you want in your life, so that calibrates the magnetic monopole in your G center, your heart, and so it'll bring to you more and more of what you want. And if you think about grace, like I said earlier, it is a quality of radiance. It's a quality of brilliance. So use this for yourself as you're going forward this week. The last thing I want to leave you with are just a few questions that are related to the dance of Uranus and Pluto that I mentioned earlier. So these two gods of transformation, and they're both gods of transformation in two different ways, is right here in the knowing circuit. So I have a couple questions here. So what wants or needs to transform in your relationship to your inner knowing? Okay, what has to happen for you to trust your intuition even more? What needs to come to the surface from Pluto's underworld to be transformed and healed, right? So that you can have a really dynamic, deeply trusting relationship with your knowing circuit. So let the light of the 22 shine on this question as well, because they're all in the same circuit, so they can help reinforce that. All right, that's it for this week. Remember to go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe so you'll get regular updates on when the next one comes out. And please do leave a comment. I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.